GG boys, welcome into the Starcast Marks Studios. I am Ryan. This is Starcast Marks. We are the official Dallas Stars podcast of the Hockey Podcast Network, and we are brought to you by DraftKings. Use the promo code THPN next time you go and use their app for a special little offer from them. Tonight we win by the final score of 5-1. Stars finish the road trip. Holy crap, 4-0. Even though it was bad teams, we took care of business tonight. So let's go ahead and just talk about this game and the good things that came out of it with James and Chris. Hey guys, how are y'all doing tonight?
He said the thing. GG boys.
I figured I'd steal your thunder. Well, actually, Eric actually stole your thunder before any of us. During the countdown video, he said it. So he stole our thunder anyways. Hey Eric, how you doing, man? Anyways, guys, great game tonight. Final score 5-1. Hakanpää. We just need to give him the puck apparently to score an empty net goal. So he gets his second empty net goal of the season and puts it away for the Stars. But what's some of y'all's initial thoughts / takeaways coming out of this game tonight?
My initial thoughts is I'm right. I was correct. I said that they have to get ahead early and they have to hold on for the rest of the game. That's exactly what they did. Great job by the Stars.
What did you think, James? Well, I know did you get to watch the full game?
I listened to the full game, so I didn't get to tune in because I was driving for the most part, but I got to listen on the radio for the game, so I can't really pick out particular things, but I can tell you a lot of players that kind of stood out.
Well, that's all good. We'll jump right into this game here in just a moment, but I think there's a couple of things that we could talk about here at the end, but let's just go ahead and get straight into the goal summary. I didn't even pull up the goal summary beforehand, but I don't even have to tell you because I can just tell you right off the bat. 14 seconds into the first period, Joe Pavelski gets his 18th of the year from Jason Robertson. He gets his 23rd assist of the year. The Minutemen do it again, or maybe we should just start calling them second men instead of Minutemen. Just absolutely amazing. Just 14 seconds into the period, and it is so nice to take a lead so early in the game, and then the rest of the time, your opponent just has to chase.
Yep. It was a huge goal, and that's exactly what we had to do to start it off. Like I said the other night, we got to get on them quick, and we definitely did. That line out of the gates was going, and it was from a hard forecheck, too. It was a dump in that Robertson just jumped on, put it right in front, and then Joe Pavelski just slammed it home. Great play.
I literally almost missed the goal. I had turned on the game, and it had been 5 seconds into the game, and then like 9 seconds later, it's like, oh, cool, we scored. And Maddie and Sam were still up, and I think I scared Sam because I just started hooping and hollering. It was awesome. So great goal by Joe Pavelski. He proves to everybody, including the ESPN Plus crowd, that he deserves to be the Dallas Stars all-star this year, even at the ripe age of 37 years young, like Mr. Kevin Weeks mentioned. So just I don't know what else to say about Joe Pavelski. He's just been absolutely fantastic, and I don't know what the Stars would do without him.
It's unbelievable. And I mean, we talked about it last year, how like, there's no way he can keep it up. So guys start to play good again, and he continues to keep it up. So I guess this is just the real thing now. Pavelski figured out how to play really well at a ripe old age. So that's awesome for us.
Well, and speaking of players who continue to do really well for the Stars, Jason Robertson. I mean, he's not scoring as much as he has, and he kind of gets thrown in the back a little bit, with Hintz and Pavelski doing as well as they have. But he is the third part of that line, and that line we've talked about it so much. They are one of the most dominant lines in the entire NHL, if not the most dominant line in the NHL. And especially for the amount of offense that this line does for this team, I don't think you could equate it than maybe to one other team, which is Boston, which is Bergeron, Marchand, and Pastrnak. That's the only line I can think of that you could possibly equate the amount of offense that this line is producing and how much this team really relies on those three guys. So I think we lost Chris there for a
Oh,
second.
Am I back? I'm here.
And
There you go. There's
and-
Chris.
And Robertson was one of the things that me and Chris talked about when we were alone in the game before last. It really seems like he is more the core of that line than Hintz is, because when he's out, Hintz isn't scoring either.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and the key to Robertson really is his consistency too, because even whenever that line wasn't scoring a bunch on the road, he was still finding a way to get that point streak continuing. So he always finds a way to produce, whether it be assists or goals, and it's just so consistent with him. Is the big thing I wanted to harp on.
And that's one of the C words that I've constantly been harping about this whole year: consistency and confidence. And that whole line, both of those, all three of those guys have it. All three of them. And if we didn't have them, this team would look very, 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 very different. So anyways, the game would continue on. The Stars definitely had a very good first period overall. It was an amazing first period. And before I get into the second goal, I did want to mention this didn't look like a team that was playing in a second game of a back-to-back. And that's been different in this game than what we've seen in previous. So normally we see them in the second game of a back-to-back, and it's obvious that they're tired and everything. We didn't really see that tonight, which is absolutely fantastic. I love the fact that we didn't see that tonight. There was more effort from them tonight.
Yeah, especially on the forecheck too. The forecheck was very strong. We made them make a lot of mistakes, and you got to think that's due to us rolling 4 lines like we did last night, like you and me talked about, Ryan. I mean, we rolled 4 lines. I think we still did the same tonight. Yeah, pretty much just as good. A little bit less for Damiani and Glendening, but he went out early. So yeah, it was great being able to roll those lines. And that's another thing that we can get into too, is the lines that looked good last game, they still look good this game, and hopefully we can get some consistency with these lines too, not having to keep jumbling them around.
Great, and that's a perfect segue into this next goal, which is Jacob Peterson. He gets his 8th of the year from Radulov, who seems to have found some chemistry with Jacob Peterson, and Kiwi Ranta gets his 3rd assist of the year. So those 3 guys seem to have formed a line, and especially Radulov and Peterson in particular. But Kiwi is a very good addition to that 3rd line. What did y'all think about that goal and the beautiful pass that Radulov had?
Yeah, I think Rad's is dishing the puck better than anybody right now. I mean, he's had some of the best assists on the team recently.
Yeah, and Peterson, this ends up being the game winner, right? So that moves Peterson to 4 game-winning goals.
Half
of his goals are game winners.
And of course, that's only behind one other player. Who is that one other player?
Oh, 2 other players. Both Hintz and Robertson both have 5. And everyone else has 1 if they have 1.
Yeah,
wow.
Including
It's crazy.
Pavelski, actually. Pavelski only has 1 game-winning goal.
Wow.
It's
that's
stupid
amazing
what
to
he's
think.
able to do.
Now, I would be interested to see how many game-tying goals Joe Pavelski has, but still, I'm not trying to take away from Peterson.
Stats,
Let's go back.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Peterson.
Game-tying goals.
Game-tying goals. Yeah. But anyways, let's get back to Peterson, because this is about Peterson. Peterson has been excellent for the Stars, and it looks like if he can keep up this pace, the way that he's been going, he may hit 20 goals this season. Maybe. At the current pace, he's definitely on a 15-goal pace, which for a rookie season, for a guy who just came out of nowhere, I mean, we knew about Jason Robertson. We knew about Jason Robertson, but Jacob Peterson, who the heck is this guy? Comes out and scores 8 goals in his rookie season. That's not bad.
Yeah, and it really feels like that line is like perfect for him, because with Kiwi and Radulov loves to play with the puck behind the net. It's like his favorite spot to be. And Peterson loves to sit in front. And with Kiwi just creating chaos and letting Peterson just be able to sit in front.
I love Kiwi when he does that.
Line,
so funny.
That line works so well. Like it really they just forget about Peterson because you got Kiwi and Rads just skating around like crazy, and he's just sitting in front of the net waiting for them to pass it to him.
Right, yeah. Well, and this is from Brandon here. Back on topic with the boys here. They had a little chat, but Eric and Brandon did at least. So, well, anyways, he's talking about that line and the fact that Rads has been playing solidly recently, and PD has earned his spot. Now, I definitely agree with you on the first one about PD earning his spot. Now, the nice thing about Radulov is that there are people who have taken his spot, Ben's spot, and Sagan's spot as the number 1 line. If we didn't have the first line, then we wouldn't be talking as positively about Rads as we are now. And I think that's fair to point out. What do y'all think?
Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, he's getting paid to do more than get 13 assists and 1 goal. So definitely.
And that's a weird stat. I mean, even for
That's a
Radulov,
crazy
even
stat.
falling off like that, you would still expect him to still get 10 to 20 goals in tonight's game, or in this season, excuse me. Not tonight's game, but I mean in this season. I mean that's what I would expect for somebody who's at that age and, you know, in the decline and stuff like that. And he's got 1 goal. So he's literally on pace for 3 goals by the end of the season, which is not very good.
Great statement, Ryan.
Yep.
And it
Goodness.
feels like he's finally starting to get back to more of the offensive game, because he's been playing on that 4th line and 3rd line, where he's just kind of been checking line. And now that he's found Peterson, who he knows can rip the puck if he's in the slot, it feels like he has just a little bit more step in his game again.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. Step in his game is correct, because on the forecheck, he's all over everything right now. He's flying up the ice. He's looking really good offensively. If he keeps it up, he'll start scoring again too. And like they were talking, like the ESPN commentators were talking about, if we can get more than just the first line going, which didn't super happen tonight, we only had 1 goal from non-first line, then the Stars could be really dangerous going into the playoffs. So, of course, that's a big if.
Well, and you know, well, let's keep going with the goal summary, because we're getting off topic here a little bit, and we'll finish it out. We'll come back to it. But before we go on to the next goal, Eric kind of points this out, and I like Peterson, but I see another Swede comparison. Is it way early? But it is way early, but is he just another Janmark? And I think he hit the nail on the head in the fact that it's way too early. It's way too early to even compare him to Matthias Janmark. And then Brandon actually comes out and says, no, that's Michael Raffel if he gets on a breakaway, which is 100% true. Man, that guy can't buy a goal to save his life.
Yeah.
So
Peterson's different from Janmark, because Janmark would play to get around the edge, and he'd play to try and score on the rush. Peterson is more of the guy who wants to sit in the slot and wait for a pass to come to him so he can get it off his stick and towards the net really fast. So they're kind of big, different players. And obviously, Peterson has showed that he has the clutch gene with 4 game-winning goals already. And I can't remember his name. I forgot. What's his name?
Robertson.
No.
Which one?
Hens, Pavelski.
The guy we were just talking about. The guy the comment was about. Janmark. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry.
Well, anyways.
Obviously, Janmark can't score. That's yeah. I need to go to
Yes.
sleep.
Well, he scored for Chicago when he went to Chicago, and now he's scoring for Vegas a little bit. Not at the same pace as he was for Chicago, but still. Anyways, let's keep going. Pavelski would get a high tip up in the slot, gets his 19th of the year from Heiskanen and Hintz, and that first line does it again, and it's 3-0 Dallas at 16:48 of the first period, and it just another goal. That's all I could think of.
Yeah, and I mean that goal kind of put the nail in the coffin in the first period already too, because there wasn't a ton of pushback from the Devils either, and they were finally getting a little bit of momentum into the first. Like at least it hadn't been scored on in 10 minutes, and then Pavelski just finishes it off too. So after that, it felt like the rest of this game was pretty much a formality until like right after the power play goal by the Devils, but there wasn't much brewing the rest of the game after the first.
And we'll get to that power play goal here in just a second. But you know, we enter the first intermission 3-0. This is the best period that I have seen the Stars play on the road. Absolutely the best period I've seen them play on the road. And maybe those 3 other games against those lesser teams, you know, below 500 teams, are finally starting to kind of help us get some confidence going. And the real true test will be to see with our first true playoff contender and on the road, we'll see how that goes. But we will see how that goes. So into the second period, Roope Hintz gets his 19th of the year from Joe Pavelski. I don't know how you guys felt about this goal. I thought it was a great shot, and it was you know it was a screened shot. I still felt like that probably should have been saved. What did y'all think, or was that really just a great shot?
That's a huge save if he saves that. I mean, he's flying up the ice and gets a wicked wrister on him with a screen. I mean, it could have been saved, yeah, but it would have been a great save if he got it. It's a high danger scoring chance if it doesn't go in. So,
yeah, and it was hilarious to me that like Pavelski passes him in goal scoring for the Stars, and he's and it's just like, no, we were tied again.
Yeah.
So
It's like, yeah, no, thanks, man. And I still felt, even with the 3-0 lead, I still felt a little uneasy, but I still felt comfortable after that fourth goal. I was like, okay, this game's over. I felt really good about that, and especially, and then we should mention that was 15 seconds into the second period, so the Minutemen did it again, just in a different period, just not at the beginning of the game. So further along into the second period, Jesper Bratt would get his 14th of the year from Jack Hughes, who, man, that guy can play. And Severson, it was a power play goal. And if there's any kind of negative thing you could take out of this game, if you're a Dallas Stars fan or a coach, is the fact that they continue to be leaky on the penalty kill. And
it's not just leaky. The door is just wide open.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah. And the fact is that continues to happen. And, it's fine that it's great that we score even strength goals, which is what we've been complaining about all season long, getting even strength goals. But you can't allow, power play goals against, and it's fine against these lesser teams. But what if you get against a Colorado, a Carolina, a Florida Panthers, a really good, whatever top 5 team in the NHL, insert here. I mean, you can't do that. You absolutely can't do that to give them any kind of momentum, because any kind of momentum, they are able to take it and forthright get more and more goals.
And you're going to take more penalties against teams like that, too, when you're trying to play defense on better players. And you can't just give them 2 out of 5 power plays every time. You're going to get creamed. So, yeah, the penalty kill definitely needs to shape up. I think a big part of it, too, we don't have Fox in, who's been our best penalty killer of the past 5 years.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Raffles out, too. He's been huge on the penalty kill as well. So those are 2 really big things that might have something to do with recently as well. Can't forget that.
So going into the second intermission, the score is 4-1. I feel very comfortable about this. If I was the Toronto Maple Leafs, I would be a little bit worried, because they like to give up 4-1 leads. They've done it 3 or 4 times this season. But it goes into the third period, and not much happens in the third period. New Jersey kind of does have their chances. They do get some odd man rushes here and there, but it was much, much less than the first 2 games of the road trip, where we just saw it back and forth on both sides of the puck for the Stars and for their opponent. But they were just kind of throwing it at the net at this point. And I think if I look at the shots, they basically just threw it at the net. They had 16 shots on goal. New Jersey did in the third period. So, I mean, they were just trying to get something going. And the Stars took care of business in the third period, shut it down. And I didn't really have anything bad to say about the third period, but nothing necessarily positive at the same time, if that makes any sense.
I'll say something positive. I thought it was a great way to close out the road period. When you're up by that much, just shut it down. Make the game boring. It was very boring. I went and made a sandwich during the third period.
What kind of sandwich?
It's pepper jack cheese. Okay. Then you get turkey breast. Goodness, I can't talk. I'm so angry.
Los palabras.
Turkey breast, the peppered one. So you have more pepper. And then you get pepperoni, so you get more pepper. And then you put ranch on it. And you
had me all the way up until ranch. That's disgusting.
Wrapped in a tortilla. So
no good. Mustard.
So spices and ranch is amazing. Okay, anyway, the defense was great all third period and all game long. Yes, New Jersey had 37 shots. They were not 37 real shots. They were firing stuff from the outside all game long. The defense from the Stars was great. On the rush, I think there was 2 or 3 good chances that the Devils had that weren't squashed by the Stars. I'm thinking of the one big save by B, especially where he went snow angel and everything. But overall, especially when New Jersey was trying to get their cycle game going, it was just locked out. I mean, everyone was in the shot lane, everyone was in the pass lane. They were just spinning the puck around and had no space at all. So it was just a solid defensive performance from the Stars. And let's give credit to Holtby too. It was a good goaltending performance, but the shots weren't great.
And we should point that out too, because we talked about the fact that they had 16 shots in the third period, but most of those shots were from the outside. And if you're the Dallas Stars and you're Braden Holtby, you take those outside shots all day long. I mean, go ahead, take them, and stand out of the way, let the goaltender make the save, let Braden Holtby make the save. I did want to point out also that and before you even mentioned it, Chris, I was going to mention it, but that save that Braden Holtby had, that was fantastic. And he continues to make, some Marty Turco-esque saves that we've seen. And they even showed on ESPN Plus. So, great for ESPN Plus to show this, but they showed the hat trick of saves that Braden Holtby had early in the season. And there's another huge giant save by Braden Holtby. And
yep.
I mean, I know that a lot of people are saying that, oh, Jake Ottinger played great in the last game and everything, and he really is the true number one or whatever. I don't think there's a true number one in this. I think that we have two really good goaltenders who are both playing really well. They have a couple of off games. Holtby has had some off games. Ottinger had a couple of off games. But it is definitely a 50-50 crease for me right now. I don't think it belongs to Ottinger. I don't think it belongs to Holtby. I think it's pretty even. Maybe 60-40 in favor of Holtby, but still. What do y'all think about the play of just both the goaltenders this whole road trip?
Yeah, it was definitely it was Holtby. Holtby has been good enough for us in those first two road games that we had where we didn't really trust Otter and he was having a rough time, but then Otter comes back in the game against the Flyers. He has a great showing, great to see him bounce back from two bad starts. And then I think going back with Holtby was right in this one, and he has a great night tonight. So
sorry, Chris, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was pretty much gonna say that, yeah. So James, what did you think about Ryan's comments last night?
Well, which one? We disagreed like two or three times last night. Yeah.
On the goalie situation particularly, I'm with Ryan on this one. Actually, I think Holtby deserves it. He's right. The veteran. He's been playing. He's been playing great. Otter is a fantastic goalie. Obviously, like without a doubt, we know we have a steal there. But I still think you just trust Holtby on this one. I think Otter needs a little bit more experience before you just give him the whole net. I mean, you look at where. Our best example is looking at Carter Hart on the Flyers, and he's done okay, but like he's really just out to dry for a lot of the Flyers games. So I think it's Holtby's net, honestly.
Yeah, especially right now. And anyway, Holtby's on a 1-year contract too. So like at the end of the season, we got one.
Yeah.
Here's a good question. Brandon brings up, is Holtby good enough to re-sign at the end of the season? And I honestly think if you're talking about specifically this point, I would say yes. I don't know if you give him, I'm not saying a 3 or 4 year deal. Absolutely not. But I mean, if he's going to come back on for another 1 or 2 year deal, sure. Why not?
Yeah. Well, if he's good enough, definitely, yes, he's good enough. Are we going to pay him? Almost definitely not, I don't think. I mean, unless we go on another crazy run, then there's no way. Because, like, if you're looking at it right now, we're losing so many people. We're losing Radulov, almost guaranteed unless he takes a massive pay cut. We're almost guaranteed to lose Pavelski. I mean, if we don't make the playoffs this year, I mean, Pavelski's no way staying with us.
He needs to go get a cup. Yeah, he needs to go get a cup. We're
likely losing Klingberg. I mean, we still have $9 million contracts for players who are on our second line. Like if we don't make the playoffs this year, it's rebuild time. So we're not going to be paying any kind of goalies, any kind of monies. That's why he's here, because we paid him little monies to be a wet blanket, not a wet blanket, a security blanket. A security blanket.
A wet blanket.
A wet blanket.
Just soak everything up, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess that analogy works. There you go. Yeah. That works.
Holtby really has proved that he's been on some rough defensive teams in the past years. So him coming to the Stars was really it was really kind of his last chance for a goaltender to prove that he still had what he had before, and he's more than enough proved it so far.
And next year he's gonna get up into the $5 million range at least. So
Definitely.
I don't know about 5 million. I
You're
mean,
talking
Eric
about-
here. The interesting thing would be term. I would offer 2, but say 5. I'm assuming he's saying 5 million for that. But don't want another Dobby and don't want to keep blocking Otter, and that is a very good point
That's the
right there.
point.
Because the thing is you want to have somebody there that, like you talked about, a security, or I guess a wet blanket.
Wet
We're gonna
blanket,
call it
yeah.
a wet blanket now. For Ottinger, if he goes through a really rough time, and Braden Holtby is perfect, absolutely perfect for what we need right now.
Yeah.
And Jim
Yeah.
Nill, at least with this signing, looks like an absolute genius.
And that's gonna come
$2
down
million.
like,
By the way, he's making $2 million. That's it.
Yeah.
For a
That's-
guy who's won the Stanley Cup, he's won a Vezina, and he's on a subpar defensive team right now, at least that the Stars are. So go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the best signings of the season or of the offseason. But next offseason is really going to the big difference to see what we do with him and with Pavelski and honestly with Radulov too. Like if we make the playoffs this year and we get to the conference final and then we lose out, then maybe we keep all those guys. I mean, you don't know. But if we don't make the playoffs and we sell everybody, there's no reason to keep them because we're already in rebuild. We don't need a security blanket because we know we're not going to be that great unless we just go off with young guys, which isn't likely. So it's really going to be an all or nothing kind of thing come next offseason, and it's going to be a very interesting offseason. So stay tuned for some weekly StarCast remarks during that.
Yep, exactly. So let me get back to the game here because one thing we haven't talked about yet is Luke Glendening. So we got negative things and positive things about Luke Glendening. So let's just start with the positives because the positive things is really good to talk about. Holy crap!
Holy crap!
He turned up like an inner Darian Hatcher there, and it was like, "Grr, get down on the ground."
That has to be one of the biggest punches, like single punches I've seen in a hockey fight in a while. Agree?
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
100%. Oh man,
Like
that reminded
one
me.
punch, and that did you see the cut on his face?
Yes.
It was huge.
No, I
It was like
didn't.
2 inches.
James is like, no, I didn't see it.
Y'all talking about it? I haven't even seen it yet. I was
Well-
so sad when it happened too. Like they were commentating it, and they said they just big punch from Glendening. I'm like, oh come on, and I'm not watching it.
Big punch from Glendening. What an understatement.
You know, one thing I
Right.
didn't hear is I didn't hear Razor's reaction. What did Razor say to that, James? Because you were listening to
I
the
don't
radio.
I don't even remember. I was going berserk when that happened. It was awesome. It was pretty great.
Oh man, it reminded me so much of, and y'all might be too young for this, but it reminded me of the Steve Downey KO one punch hit back
No,
in
I've
the
seen
early
that.
to mid
I've seen it
2000s.
too.
Saw
Oh
that
man,
on the YouTubes.
oh it remind. If you don't know what I'm talking about, for those of you that are listening, go and look up Steve Downey KO hockey fight one punch, and it's fantastic. And at that point, it's Ralph and Razor both. And Razor just like goes berserk when he does the one punch. He just punches him once. He's like, okay, walks around, goes straight into the box, and American Airlines Center is just going berserk. It's so awesome. But and on top of that, it was Glendening who flattened McLeod, McLeod or whatever it is. He's a tough guy. Like Glendening's not a tough guy. So anyway, so that's the positive thing coming out of that game. That the fact that Glendening was. Wow. Okay. What?
And the bad thing is he might have broken his hand.
Right. And let's get into this question that I got for us, because with that, now we have multiple players, multiple veterans, and you've talked about the penalty kill, Chris, where we've really been struggling lately. Now we're missing 3 key guys who are all on the penalty
It's
kill.
our entire fourth
just,
line.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's our entire checking line is gone.
It's awful.
So that means that that's Michael Raffle, it's Luke Glendening, and it's Radek Faksa. So hopefully Glendening, it was just like, it's a 4-1 game. Let's just keep him out for precautionary reasons. There's no reason why he needs to play. Let's just hope it's that. I haven't watched the the post game conference or anything like that. Let's just hope that that's the case. But that's 3 guys down. So the depth of the defensive guys for the Dallas Stars is really going to be tested coming up over the next, I would say, week or two, assuming that all of those guys are out for an extended period of time.
Unfortunately, I am pretty certain he broke his hand. Like, I would bet a large sum of money on it.
It's gonna be really rough on the penalty kill. I mean, basically what we're gonna be who we're looking to for our penalty kill now is gonna be Sagan, Ben, and Henson, maybe some Robertson now too. So it's gonna be even rougher on the PK now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and not to mention, not like Klingberg plays any PK anyways, but he was out tonight too. So it's just the injuries that seem to creep up every single year for the Dallas Stars have very slowly started to make their way into the picture. And now that's 4 guys who, we rely on pretty frequently. And looks like we're going to have a 4th line AHL line for a little while, but we'll see.
Well, we should be getting Fox back too, though, because he was just sick. So he should be back for Friday, I think.
Fingers crossed, because boy, we could use him right now, especially with assuming Glendening broke his hand, he's going to be out for a while. And Raffle took that, was it the puck in the Detroit game in the second period where he got hurt? So I mean, that's never a good thing when you take a puck right there, and all we know is it's a lower body injury. So we'll see how that goes for the Stars, but it was a storyline from last game, Chris. We argued about it a lot, but there's really no way to go with the whole Damiani versus Gurianov thing tonight, right? Because, both guys didn't really make a huge difference. Damiani didn't have a good game tonight at all. He took a really stupid penalty. He's had a couple of
there is
of
definitely
dumb plays,
things to talk
but
about.
what did y'all
Damiani
think?
sucked, and Gurianov was
suck.
very aggressive on the forecheck and played very well. So you were wrong. James, tell him I'm right.
One of the things tonight that I get the luxury of is I get to hear the players that they're talking about on the broadcast. And I got to listen to Stars broadcast too. So, but I heard Damiani once the entire broadcast, and it was when he took the penalty. So he was essentially non-existent all night.
And it showed on the stat sheet. He has 9:33 time on ice, lowest of anybody except for Glendening, who didn't play the entire third period.
Right.
And that's only a shift and a half. No, we'll give him 2 shifts. He only had 2 more shifts than Glendening, who didn't play an entire period.
All right. Let's get into the game stats here for tonight. I'm not going to do the stupid ones, but face-off percentage for the Stars, they're in the positive for that, 56-44 tonight in favor of the Dallas Stars. Power play, the Stars have only had 1 power play in the past 2 games, which does not help their power play chances. We haven't needed it, which is good.
It's ridiculous. That was something I want to mention. There's no way. Like, it's not just like, oh, that's very unlikely. No, that's not possible. This is bullcrap. Sorry, move on.
It's all right. And then the Stars go 1 for 3 or 2 for 3 on the PK, while New Jersey goes 1 for 3 on the power play. So again, the Stars, like you said, Chris, floodgates are wide open on the power play right now, at least allowing 1 goal a game on the penalty kill. Shots on goal in the game tonight. In the first period, it was in favor of the New Jersey Devils, 9-7, and of those 7 shots the Stars had, they scored on 3. In the second period, the shots really ramped up. It was 15-12 in favor of the Stars. In the third period, it was 16-10 in favor of the Devils. Final shots tonight were a final of 37-32 in favor of the New Jersey Devils. And sometimes you can take a look at the shots and say, okay, that you could kind of see the story of the game. That wasn't the case in this game tonight. The Stars definitely had a fantastic game tonight, and the shots on goal really didn't show how well the Stars played a road game tonight. So that was very nice to see.
And one thing that I thought about after the last game was, like, Chris mentioned that if the Stars should be shooting 30 shots every away game, and these last 4 games just proved his point. So
Who's a smart boy? It's me.
Only sometimes.
Only most of the times. Right about Damiani, right about Ottinger.
I like
right
it,
about
Shut up about
the coach
Damiani.
being bad.
Shut up.
I'm so smart.
So
Like
Anyway.
and subscribe if you think I'm smart.
Nobody thinks you're smart, so no one's gonna
We're
like and
not gonna
subscribe.
get any more
So
subscribers.
just because. Anyways, so let's just look at a couple of these comments and we'll call it quits tonight, guys. Eric saying, yeah, it is hard for guys like him to play who play top 6 in AHL and come in and play fourth line minutes because I think that does stunt him a bit. And I'm assuming he's talking about Riley Damiani here. I mean, that is a rough thing to do, and he's exactly right.
Especially
But that's
in
that's the natural progression of how you make it into the NHL. You learn. I mean, you can rely on your offensive skill in the minors and in the junior leagues and stuff like that. But when you get to the NHL, the way that the game is played nowadays, you have to know both sides of the puck or you're not getting in, period. I know we talk about the fact that Bowness is huge on the defensive side of the puck, and he's probably more so than most coaches, but every coach in this league expects you to play defense no matter who you are.
Yeah.
So
and that's something that next season we could see like flip around. So like I said, if we do end up just selling everybody this offseason, you probably do see Damiani on a second line role, like to start the season next year too. So it'll be interesting to see that unfold as well. So
he kind of reminds me a little bit of Riley Smith. Riley Smith was a former Dallas Stars draft pick who got traded to Florida. And then Vegas took him in the expansion draft, and Riley Smith has been pretty good for the Vegas Golden Knights. So he was on the first line when they went to the Stanley Cup final there. So I hope that he has the same sort of thing like that too, but we will see. Brandon says it does, and I'm going down this weekend to see the Texas Stars play and see how they are looking. I had high hopes for Dellandrea and Kamano. At this point, I think both of those guys are probably just depth guys. I was really hoping a lot for Dellandrea. Maybe he'll have an explosion like Hintz or like Gurianov, but at this point, I just don't see the two of those guys pushing their way into the lineup. Definitely not this year, I wouldn't think. Because I mean, you're already seeing Riley Damiani and Rhett Gardner get in before those two guys. So, what do y'all think about that?
No, likely not for either of them, unfortunately. And Texas is having some troubles right now. Jeez.
I have not really been paying attention to the Texas Stars this year. How are they doing?
Not good. Not good.
Yeah,
they don't really have a
rough
goalie
time.
though. Well, I guess they have Hudobin now, but they've had like 6 goalies.
Well, that's unfortunate. So, okay, I think we're gonna cut it off here tonight, guys. Anything else y'all want to talk about that we haven't mentioned?
There's no way we get one power play in 120 minutes and win both games. That's ridiculous. These refs are, ugh.
I know you're complaining about that, but the fact that we got 5 even strength goals when we were complaining about that the whole time when we were only getting power play goals,
that's what I'm saying.
Slightly okay with that.
If we have offensive momentum, there's no way we're not drawing penalties too. It's stupid.
And you're not wrong.
This is garbage.
You're not wrong. So, okay, we will be back with you guys again on Friday. We are playing the Washington Capitals in Dallas. It is a late start time at 8 p.m. it appears. Is that correct?
Yep, that's due to the jersey retirement. And
we get to see one of the Dallas Stars' greatest players ever, Mr. Sergei Zubov, get his number 5. Sergei, excuse me, lo siento. He gets his number raised to the rafters of the American Airlines Center, and I'm very looking forward to that and seeing all the old buddies of his. I'm sure there's a list somewhere of people who are coming. I've heard Mike Modano, Brett Hall, Tom Glardy will actually be there. And I'm trying to remember. I believe that's it. But the James is telling me that the ceremony actually starts at 6. So the ceremony starts at 6 and the game starts at 8. That's a really weird thing. That can't be right.
That's weird, James. No way.
I think that's what they were saying on the.
That's good. That sounds right.
I missed the Glendening fight tonight, right? But Razor actually went off and he had a concert in the third period. Okay, he was singing. It was great, and I loved it.
One of the greatest broadcasters of all time. If they don't put him in the Hockey Hall of Fame, I will be shocked. I will be absolutely shocked. So. Anyways, guys, thank you once again for listening. Whenever you're listening to this, whether you're listening to it live or whether you're listening to it to the next morning, we appreciate you listening. And we also appreciate DraftKings for sponsoring us and the whole Hockey Podcast Network. Go and use the promo code THPN. Then next time you go and use their app for a special little offer from them. There's a lot of good offers right now, especially getting into the NFL playoffs. So we'll see how that goes. It's going to be weird without, Rodgers or Brady in the championship games. So it's real weird. So we'll see how all that goes. So
that was weird.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, we will catch you guys on the flip side. And along with Chris and James, I'm Ryan. Have a good night.